I'm going to be talking about Season 2 of Glee. This video mostly consists of me giving my thoughts about each of the characters and my top 5 favorite episodes from the season. Overall, I thought the season was pretty good. Um, about the same, if not better than Season 1. I like the focus on more of the ensemble instead of like the same four characters. I feel like a lot of the other main characters are utilized better. So let's just get started. Starting off with Quinn, whose arc this season I wasn't really a huge fan of. I felt like it was taking her a step backwards. I like the relationships he had with Sam, but then she kind of fucked it up by still having feelings for Finn. And I'm not a huge fan of love triangles in TV shows, and Glee has so many of these that I'm kind of losing my mind here. Um, so I wasn't a fan of that, and I kind of feel bad for Sam because like he didn't do any of this. Like it's not his fault. Quinn and Finn are being sluts. Besides that whole thing, Quinn doesn't really get much else to do this season. So I'm not a huge fan of her arc, but I think Danny Agron does a great job, and I love some of the songs he sings. I I feel like she's one of the more underrated singers on the show because her voice is deeper, but it's still kind of soothing. I think she'd be a really good jazz singer. Colt gets the medal for most improved because I didn't really like him in season one because his whole like weird obsession with Finn was kind of weird, but I really like him in season two. I love his relationship with his dad. I love his romance with Blaine, uh, Dale and Chris, and I like his arc with the bully kid Dave Kowalski. I don't know. He just feels like a very well-developed character, and I think the actor who plays him, Chris Colfer, is probably the best actor on the show out of all the kids. Though I gotta be honest, I, I don't like the Warblers. Every time they show up on screen, I'd be like, oh god, here we go again. They're a little too much. Um, so I'm kind of glad he left them and went back to McKinley. Moving on to Terry. Terry doesn't really do much this season. She's barely even in the season. But I like her arc. In the beginning, she's very bitter and bitchy towards Will, and she teams up with Sue for some reason to destroy the Glee Club. Where it's just kind of like, really, like you're a grown ass woman, don't you have a life outside of hating the Glee Club? Um, like when Jane Lynch does it, it's funny, but when Terry does it, it's just kind of sad. But I do like at the end of the season when she has this like redemption and she gives Will a bunch of plane tickets and then she just fucks off to Miami. So that's good. Would I be sad if I never see her again? Probably not. But I thought the actress did a good job. Moving on to Sue, which is probably the funniest character on the show. I love her crash outs. I love how bitter she is. Um, and I like her relationship with her sister. So that's kind of like shows that she's not that bad of a person. She still has some redeeming qualities. I felt really bad for her when her sister died. That was very sad. And I like the scenes with Carol Burnett. Moving on to Emma, who, I don't know. They already did a love triangle between Emma, Will, and Ken in season one. And then they did another love triangle with Emma, Will, and John Stamos in season two. So I'm not really a fan of love triangles, especially when they happen two seasons in a row with the same character. But I do like how obsessive compulsive disorder, or at least the way it's portrayed, because as somebody who does have OCD, I feel like the way they portray it is very realistic, and I love that therapy session she had. So I hope we see more of her in season three, because I think she's a really good character, and I like her singing too. Like when she sang "Touch Me" in the Rocky Horror Show episode was really good. Moving on to Audie, who I don't really have much to say about. He's kind of weird. I don't really like the way he treats his girlfriend, but I like the scene where he got crutches. That was kind of cool. So we never see them since. Um, so I don't really know what he does with them. Moving on to Rachel, who is very annoying, but I think she's purposefully annoying. But I like how even though she is annoying, she's also very sweet. You could have people who bug you, but still acknowledge that they're good people deep down. And I think she's very caring about her friends. Whole sending that one girl to a crack house was kind of fucked up though. And whole cheating on Finn with Puck was not cool. It just also kind of seemed out of character for her because I mean I think Finn was totally in the right. They weren't even dating yet, so him hooking up with Santana was pretty valid. So I feel like he should have told her. But what she did was way worse. Now it seems like they're back together again. I don't like how they kissed at finals though. That was kind of cringe. Moving on to Finn, who's another really good character, though I don't like when he was like trying to steal Quinn away from Sam. It just felt really mean spirited. And I thought like him and Sam were kind of friends, so it just seemed like a bad move. Kind of a dick move there. But besides that, I like his all throughout the season. I like his friendship with Holt. I like his relationship with Rachel, though he's kind of hypocritical about Rachel cheating on him when he's with Quinn and she's cheating on Sam with him. It's a little bit hypocritical there. Normally, I don't like his singing, but I thought he was really good doing the "Damn It, Janet" song. I don't know. I feel like that works better with his lower range. Moving on to Brittany, who's probably my favorite character now. I I just think she's funny and she's very sweet, like good natured. And while she's stupid, like very dumb, it's not her only personality aspect. She's not like that's like not all she is. She's a very good friend and supportive of people, so I like her. Moving on to Will Schuster, uh, he's kind of manic, I guess. He's he's a good teacher, but just also not a good teacher. It kind of varies episode to episode. He's not the most consistently good teacher, which I guess is nobody's perfect all the time, but he's kind of crazy. Also, he's kind of a slut. It's not a huge fan of that, but everybody in the show is kind of a slut, if we're being honest. I did like his chemistry with Gwyneth Paltrow's character, and honestly, if she was like a main character, I feel like they should have gotten together because he has better chemistry with her than he does with Emma. But given that she's Gwyneth Paltrow and is too famous to be on a Glee for 22 episodes a year, I could, obviously that wasn't going to happen. And Bert, who's Kurt's dad, I think he's a great character. Like, I just love a good TV dad, and he's one of the best. I felt sorry for him, and especially Kurt, when he had that heart attack at the beginning of the season. And then I was happy for him when he got married to Finn's mom. That was really sweet. So it's nice. He deserves a win. It's nice about that. I like his conversation with Kurt about, like sex and stuff. And I was pretty much on his side. I don't know when Kurt was like, you have to educate yourself. Whenever people say the word educate yourself, it comes off as very pretentious and kind of, you know. So I was kind of on team Bolt on that one. Moving on to Mercedes, who is a very great singer. She's one of the best singers on the show. But the character doesn't really do much. She's kind of just there to sing, and she doesn't have much of a dynamic with really any of the other characters. Like she's friends with Kurt and Rachel, but she doesn't really have any like plot lines of her own. Hopefully that'll change in season 3, because now her and Sam are secretly dating. I don't know why they're secretly dating, uh, but I guess we'll find out. Moving on to Santana, who I like her arc about her being a lesbian and stuff, and her being in the closet. But I feel like sometimes she comes off as too nasty to people. I like that scene where they all just start roasting her, and like the next scene, start crying. I feel like she kind of deserved it. Also, when Puck's girlfriend beats the shit out of her, I enjoyed watching that. Naira Vale is also a really good singer, and she does really good with those emotional scenes between her and Brittany. So, great actress. Rest in peace. Very excited to see more of where that character arc is going. Moving on to Puck, who is a lot more tolerable in season 2 than he was in season 1. He comes off less of a douchebag and more of like an actual decent person. Like, yeah, he's still kind of a slut, but he's like, at least he's not like cheating on people with other people. I don't know, that was kind of a mess in season 1. I like when he sticks up for Colt, because like even though he's like the douchebag, he's still like, he's not like a bad person. and even he stuck up for Colt, so that was kind of sweet. He also has a really good single. It's just a shame what happened with that actor because he's very talented. I just wish he made better decisions. You know. Moving on to Tina, who really does nothing this season, um, besides date Mike Chang. She doesn't really do anything. She's just kind of there. Every time she tries to sing a song, it gets interrupted somehow with her crying or somebody cutting her off, and I don't know. It just kind of feels like erased because it's. I think she's a good singer. She just doesn't really get much of anything to do. Now moving on to my top five favorite episodes. No particular order, just in like chronological order. So I like episode six, which is called "Never Been Kissed." I think it's a pretty funny episode. I like the whole like boys doing women songs and girls doing men songs. I think that's kind of a cool thing, and I really like the performances there. I also really like the character of Coach Beast. I think she's a huge improvement over the very bland Ken. I feel so bad for her when all the students like are like making fun of her and stuff and thinking of them so they don't nut. I just think that's awful, and I can't believe Will told her that. He could have just lied and said, "Oh, I don't know why they do that." Like he could have just lied. It could have been easy. Um, but no, Will's a fucking dumbass. I just feel so bad for her because she seems like a very nice person, and people are so mean to her. Um, but they had a sweet moment towards the end, so I like that. Moving on to The Substitute. This is the first episode to feature Gwyneth Paltrow. I think this is a great character. I had no idea Gwyneth Paltrow could sing. I'm not really surprised. I feel like a lot of Hollywood people could sing. I guess I just don't think about it. But I like how she kind of brings the characters out of their comfort zone a little bit, and more than Will does. But it's clear that she's not exactly stable enough to, or strict enough to be an actual teacher. So I like showing the different styles of teaching. I think she gave a great performance here. I like her better in this than I've liked her in pretty much anything else I've seen her in. Though to be fair, I've only seen her in Seven and the Marvel movies, so I guess there's really not many things I've seen her in. Moving on, another episode I really liked was Foot, which is episode 8. This is the wedding between Finn's mom and Kurt's dad. I think it's a very good episode. Though I think it's kind of weird how, like, all the bridesmaids and groomsmen are their son's friends. Like, they don't have any friends of their own, or brothers, or cousins, or anything. They use their son's friends. That's a bit odd. Liked episode 11, the Sue Sylvester Shuffle. This was a very good one. Um, I think I don't know, it's just so funny. You could tell that they went all out for the big Super Bowl episode because like everything that comes after a Super Bowl has to be huge because you have like the biggest ratings. So it's full of laughs. Sue's crash out that lasts like 3 minutes long is hilarious. Um, I like the way the football players have to work with the Glee Club for this halftime show, and all the conflicts that was all from there, and how Krowski actually does join in for the final song, even though he's secretly gay but also evil. Um, I don't know. I just think it's a very good episode, and I like how the cheerleaders quit Sue's team at the end and become full-time Glee members. I think that's kind of cool. It shows how far those characters have become from caring about what people think about them and stuff. And another episode I really liked was the funeral, which is episode 21. This is about Sue's sister dying, and it's I don't know, it's very sad. And I like how even though she hates the Glee Club and the Glee Club kind of hates her, they all kind of came together out of respect. I think that's really sweet. And I really like the Edison songs doing that, giving up Jesse was being kind of a bitch. So thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, peace.